In this video, I want to walk through calculating standard deviation, just in case this causes you trouble in the 6B assignment. So what I have here is a column of data, and don't include this 10 just yet. I'll talk about that in a minute. So the data would be the healthcare opinion score. We have 0, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 20 here. This was perhaps from a survey. And what we're going to do for this slide is calculate the standard deviation. So for these scores that you see above the yellow box, we're going to calculate the standard deviation of that column. We have talked about these steps in class. So again, first always, in order to find the standard deviation, first always calculate your mean. Then you will take each value from your set of data and you will find the deviations for each value from the mean. So you will take that value, subtract the mean from it, and then you will square each of those deviations. For step 3, you'll find the sum of the squares of the deviations from the mean. And next, so for step number 4, divide by, we call this the degrees of freedom. So you'll take the number of terms you have minus 1. And this set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So n would be 7. We're going to divide by 6 for step 4. And for number 5, lastly, you'll take the square root. When you get to number 4, you have found what we call the variance. So for step number 5, you take the square root of the variance. For this first column, which we're finding the standard deviation for, if you add up all of these values, you'll notice, so we'll go ahead and do this. You can pull out a calculator. 8 and 12 give us 20. With 10, we have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I have 7 terms. 70 divided by 7 gives me 10. So this yellow box right here is actually step 1, where we have already found the mean of that set. For step 2, we're going to find how far each of those values deviate from the mean. So the mean of the set is 10. Values lower than 10 will have a negative value there for a negative deviation in this column because they are lower than the mean. So 0 minus 10, 6 minus 10, 8 minus 10. Here we're exactly the mean will be at 0, and then for the 3 above, those values will be greater. This is step number 2. For step number 3, we're going to take each of those values in the second column and square them. So I have negative 10 squared, negative 4 squared, etc. This column, so this column right here, you have the squared deviations from the mean, and we're going to add all of those together. So find the sum of the squares of the deviations. That gives us 240. For step number 4, we're going to divide by n minus 1. Since we had 7 terms, 7 minus 1 gives us 6. 240 divided by 6 is exactly 40 here. And lastly, you'll take the square root of 40. We have, if you think about that, that's a little bit bigger than 36, so the square root will be about 6.32. This would give us our standard deviation. So this is the conclusion for that problem. The standard deviation would be about 6.32.